So, guys, it looks like we have another live action Disney remake to add to the trash pile, which is getting higher and higher every single month by it seems. So let's have a look. Peter Pan and Wendy reviews leap from Disney live action classic to a forgetful remake. Forgetful is probably a nice way of putting it. Opinions are decidedly mixed. I think they're just trying to be objective. Mixed isn't the right word. Regarding the latest Disney live action remake, Peter Pan and Wendy. Okay, so let's scroll down and have a look what people are saying about it. The live action remakes of Disney animated classics continues with Peter Pan and Wendy, which lands on Disney Plus from today. So was another adventure in Neverland worth it? Well, according to several reviews, yeah, it absolutely was. No, they're completely wrong. We begin with Robbie Collin of The Telegraph, who adored director David Lowery's take on J.M. Barrie tale about a boy who wouldn't grow up, awarding Peter Pan and Wednesday a perfect 5. Wednesday? I keep saying Wednesday. I mean Wendy. Peter Pan and Wendy. A perfect 5 out of 5. Colin calls the movie the most beautiful, moving children film of the year. Don't know what movie he was watching, but he obviously wasn't watching the right one. So he goes on to say, quote, for all its updates and adjustment, Peter Pan and Wendy doesn't feel remotely modern, and I mean that as a compliment. Lowery's approach has a timelessness to it that fits the story perfectly, and at points it reminded me of a return to Oz, the animated fantasies of Studio Ghibli, and even Terrence Malick's The New World. I don't agree with that quote at all, but like I say, I don't want to ever put down on someone's joy of a movie. If someone finds joy in something that I don't like, then that's fair, you know. I kind of celebrate someone's joy of a movie, even if I didn't like it myself. The praise continues, courtesy of Collider's Ross Boname, again applauding director David Lowery, but demonstrating how Disney should be approaching these live-action remakes. Go on to say, quote, with both Pete's Dragon and Peter Pan and Wendy, Lowery has shown the correct way to tell a time-honoured story once again. Jon Favreau might have found the way to make these films profitable, but Lowery has shown exactly how Disney should be handling these projects. So there's a couple of quotes here, I mean, from people that, you know, critics that watched the movie and found, you know, they found that they enjoyed it and they got some, you know, got some good from it. So that's fair play to them. I completely don't agree with that at all, but that's all there is to it. That's my opinion. IGN's Mega Murty, meanwhile, gives Peter Pan and Wendy a near 9 out of 10, calling the movie an emotional roller coaster and definitely a must watch. They go on to say, quote, Peter Pan and Wendy is a beautiful take on the classic children's story, retold for all of us who chose to grow up and continue to struggle with our decision. Not really sure what that quote means, but okay. Deadline's Pete Hammond found much to enjoy, particularly from Jude Law's Captain Hook and Ever Anderson's Wendy Darling. Quote, kids will eat it up as they have been doing for well over a century, and Lowery's not necessary retelling does nothing to harm the impact of the story that itself is forever young. Producer is Jim Whittaker. Peter Pan and Wendy takes flight on Disney Plus today. Okay. Unfortunately, things get a little more middling from here. Empire's Ben Tavis awards Peter Pan and Wendy a 3 out of 5 and says, David Lowery's second Disney reimagining is artfully constructed and full of interesting ideas, but for a film about the energy and imagination of youth, it often feels trapped in its own head. Okay, so we're getting some reviews now that are a little bit more middling than what they have been. The previous ones were obviously positive. This one's kind of in the middle of the road. It's not too negative, but it's not too positive. Another 3 out of 5 comes courtesy of Total Films' James Mottram, who concludes that the latest live-action remake is comfy and occasionally inspired. Goes on to say, quote, and once in a while, Lowery pulls something beautiful out of the bag, like a generally touching third act montage. It doesn't quite have the required depth for adults, but for kids, this Peter Pan flies. So yeah, he's basically saying that, you know, you can take your kids and your kids will probably enjoy it, but it might not necessarily be something for the adults. That's the thing with these live action remakes. It's very difficult to turn a Disney animated film into a live action movie that's going to not only appeal to children, you need it to appeal to adults, but trying to have mature themes in a Disney live action movie and trying to have it appeal to kids at the same time can be a little bit tricky and a little bit hard to balance. So I kind of get that. Taking the opposite position to THR's Lovery, I'm not going to be able to say that word, but anyway, he felt that Peter Pan and Wendy speaks more to the inner child of jaded adults than it does to actual kids. Question the central focus of the narrative. So it seems like Our reviews are dropping even lower now, so let's see what they have to say. Go on to say, quote, and as the film moves towards a dutiful finish, you may find yourself wondering why Lowry didn't make a movie about Peter Pan and Hook instead of Peter Pan and Wendy. Yeah, that's the thing in it. I mean, Hook's more interesting than Wendy. You would think that his character is going to have more nuance to it. It's going to be a bit more in depth. He's going to be a bit more kind of, what's the word? A bit more of a kind of a bashful character with a bit more nuance in his personality that you could really dive into. I mean, you could do a Hook solo movie and you could make a kind of Pirates of the Caribbean movie, almost kind of style, but with Hook. And I think that'd be quite interesting. I wouldn't actually mind seeing something like that. Finally, Variety's Peter, can't say that word, enjoyed some of the set pieces, especially a moment teased in the trailers involving Hook's ship, but felt the rest of the movie never lived up to these moments of promise. Goes on to say, quote, but the narrative never rises to the same level. In Disney's haste to adapt more of its precious IP, the studio has sublimated another classic into mere content to be swept downstream and forgotten. That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, Disney, not only are they doing that with their live action remakes, they're doing it with their Marvel properties at the moment. They're just cranking out quantity of movies, and it seems that the quality isn't there. The heart and the personality of the original animated movies just kind of gets sucked away. You know, they're just trying to bank on these IP, and they're kind of leaving the heart out of the movie. That kind of seems to be the theme at the moment, you know. Directed by David Lowery, The Green Knight, and Pete's Dragon, Peter Pan and Wendy is a live-action reimagining of the Jim Barrie novel from 1953 animated classic. Introduces Wendy Darling, a young girl looking to avoid a boarding school who meets Peter Pan, a boy who refuses to grow up, traveling with Peter to a magical world in Neverland. She encounters an evil pirate captain, Captain Hook, and embarks on a thrilling and dangerous adventure. There's a load of actors' names, so I'm not going to try and pronounce all of those. Peter Pan and Wendy is available on Steam. Available on Steam. What am I? Been talking about too many games, guys. Peter Pan and Wendy is available to stream on Disney Plus from today. So, if you are interested in this movie, to be fair, from my point of view, I don't see any interest in this movie. People that I've spoke to don't seem to have any interest in it. Go have a look at the trailer. If it does remotely interest you, and you do have Disney Plus, then it's worth a watch if you've got nothing else to do. But from what I've seen, it's kind of, like it just said in this quote, it's a bit of a swept away content that no one really cares about. If you've got young kids, plonk your kids in front of it, they'll probably enjoy it. But as a fully grown adult, there's probably not much in this movie for you anyway. So guys, just before we finish the video on Peter Pan and Wendy, I thought we'd hop over to Rotten Tomatoes and check out what some of the critics are saying. So Peter Pan and Wendy, 69% tomato meter, and a 46 audience score. So it looks like there's a bit of a discrepancy between the audience and the critics. The critics seem to like it a bit more than what the audience do. So we're going to check out the critics first, have a quick look at what some of them are saying, and then we'll jump over and have a look at the audience score. So let's scroll down. So we've got a negative one. Lowery, for what it's worth, does attempt to add depth with the thornier character dynamics and his trademark directorial flares, but Peter Pan and Wendy ends up coming off as a listless attempt to recapture magic that was never there to begin with. So she didn't like it very much. We got a positive one here from the Chicago Tribune. It's delicate balance maintaining Barry's childhood fantasies and a fear while going on the right kind of humor and action. Then we've got another negative one. Infused with bounding energy but little meaningful invention, it climbs to only modest heights, weighed down by its inability to add much to the iconic legend. Let's have another look. Daily Telegraph. It might end up being the most beautiful, moving, all-round, loveliest children's film of the year. So I noticed how he said children's film. So I think he's implying there as well, like I said before earlier in this video, that this movie is going to apply more to children than it does for adults, which I guess you can take on board. It's a Peter Pan movie. Of course, it's going to apply to children a bit more. But let's have another look at this one. The changes within Peter Pan and Wendy remain either superficial or entirely beneath the surface of a too familiar narrative. So basically saying that, nothing's been invented here. It's just the same as the familiar narrative that we've heard before. Let's do a couple more. The updates to the cast and story are very much welcome without feeling forced or overbearing. And then we'll balance it out with one more negative. Peter Pan and Wendy has its moments, but a frustrating lack of imagination by Lowery holds it back from reaching the heights of the Neverland deserves. Instead, it's a drab and dry reimagining. That's quite strong. Drab and dry reimagining of the apparent poignant moments that are half-baked. So there's a bit of balance here. I mean, like the critic score is 69%, so the majority of the critics are liking it at the moment. But I think it'd be interesting for us to go go over and have a look at the audience score and sort of contrast that with what the critics are saying. So we're quickly going to jump over to the audience. So jumping over to the audience score, let's have a look at what some of the audience reviews are saying. So we've got the first one, says amazing review. It truly understands the spirit of the story. Then we've got a negative one, Lost Boys aren't boys. Yeah, I heard about that. So like, obviously there's supposed to be these lads that are characters, but they've been changed now. So I don't know what the reason for that is. Tinkerbell is not Tinkerbell. Not sure why not, but anyway. Peter is just a flying Pedro. Peter is just a flying... Oh, I know what he means by that. For a second there, I had to register what that meant. But okay. I'm not going to go any more into that, I don't think. They just missed to make Hook... They just missed to make Hook a lesbian. What? This movie is the reason why the CEO at Disney will be fired, and I'm here to see it. So this guy really didn't like the direction that they took with these characters. Like, yeah, he had some pretty bad issues with that. Let's go on to the next one. Terrible made movie, sad. ABD, bad acting. Jude Law and Wendy, probably only good actors. Amazing movie. Tinkerbell is incredible. Cry haters. Okay, so we got someone who likes it. Amazing movie. Sure, it's not a classic story, but it's something new that truly understands the story. Do not expect the classic story. This is something new. Then we got another negative one. Disney must love losing money on their products. This is not Peter Pan. It is a complete misrepresentation of the actual story. Oh, wow. Then we got a really disliked review here. I hate this movie. They differed from the original plot and they ruined it. What a terrible adaptation. We'll just read a couple more here, guys. I mean, we've got hundreds here. We could sit here all day and read through these. But, and then we've got one to balance it up that's kind of in the middle. So it's about 3.5 stars out of 5. This is one of the better live-action remakes. Instead of it just being a retelling of the movie, it takes some elements from the book and the musical too. The flight scenes were super fun and imaginative. The writing was really good. There were scenes that actually made me feel things. And some of the stuff was pretty funny from the pirates. The Captain Hook twist was nice because what we've seen this tried in other movies. Let's read a couple more here. And then it just seems like we have some negative reviews. At 40 minutes in, my niece said, "This is stupid," and left the room. She was right to do so. That's quite funny. It's not a Disney movie, trust me. I don't know why I find that funny, but... oh boy, where do I start? Peter looks awful, so does Wendy. There are lost girls in the Lost Boys, which is an insult to the girls, since the reason for there not being lost girls in the original is because the girls were too smart to get lost. Captain Hook has gone from smart, cunning, and respectable pirate to a hobo-looking nobody. Nobody. That's great. This movie is just a lifeless shell of the original animated film. It's a hobo. That's quite funny. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there though, guys. I mean, it's quite a funny way to end it. If you guys seen this movie, what do you think about it? I mean, do you have kids who have seen it? Did your kids enjoy it if they watched it? As an adult, did you enjoy it? Did you get anything out of it? Do you not really care about this movie at all? Are you just here just to kind of laugh at these reviews like me? I have no stock in this movie. Yeah, I don't have kids who have seen it, so I don't really know from a kid's perspective if it's any good or not. But yeah, so that's about it, guys. I don't really have much else to say about this movie. It's going to be forgotten in, 2 days? So jump down to the comment section. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. And yeah, I'll see you soon.